thank you to anybody that's attended this exhibitor session. Many thanks to Crystal and Tara for putting this together. You know, these are difficult times, and coming up with a way to, you know, not only get some information out, you know, run a virtual conference is not an easy thing, and I really thank both of you for all the work that you put into this. I'm here to talk about CertTEC. We're a center that's located in Titusville, Florida. CertTEC is a division of SpaceTech Partners Incorporated, and we have a philosophy at SpaceTech Partners. You know, we certify what you know and what you can do. And I'll talk about a little more about this in detail as we go through this. But as you see, there's some logos on the screen here, and these are a lot of our partners. You know, we have 3 divisions under SpaceTech. SpaceTech is a National Resource Center for Aerospace. CertTEC is a certification division, and also Credential Testing Services is our 3rd division that we started in 2016 that does knowledge-based and also end of course testing, you know, through our assessment management system. We have a lot of training and educational equipment partners. There are some that aren't represented here that we've been working with in the last year, but we do equipment, educational equipment that we use as original equipment manufacturers for a lot of our certifications. We also have virtual training partners, augmented training partners. We have textbook companies. We have educational technologies companies that do a lot of different things. And we also have right now 1 staffing company that we work with pretty closely, and I'll talk a little bit more about them as well. So again, thanks for joining, and hope you find some of what I have to share with you interesting. A little background into what SpaceTech is. We began in 2002 as a National Science Foundation National Center to provide a means of those individuals that worked human space at Kennedy Space Center, Johnson Space Center, and other locations around the country with a portable credential. This is something that was lacking in the aerospace world, especially in the spacecraft industry. At that time, NASA owned all of space. There wasn't a commercial space program, and as different contractors came and went, it was difficult for individuals who had been working this for several years to then start over with a new contractor. So the SpaceTech Certified Aerospace Technician program was developed. It started as curriculum, then it became a certification, and throughout the years, you know, that has been promoted at several different locations around the country. We now operate as SpaceTech Partners Incorporated. We're a Florida nonprofit corporation established in 2009 to handle the activities of the varied things that we had going on within SpaceTech. Right now, we have over 30 knowledge-based and performance-based credentialing programs that are all driven by industry-recognized standards. And these support workforce development through technician knowledge and skills assessments in virtually all areas that require technician skills: commercial space, aerospace, aviation, and now advanced manufacturing as well. We're also recognized as a 501c3 nonprofit, which gives us a lot of different opportunities, not only on the grant side, we can still seek grants, but also companies that support us can use that as a tax advantage. And we're also one of the few certification agencies that are actually accredited, and we're accredited ISO 17024 standards. It's an international accreditation, and it's performed by the International Certification Accreditation Council, which is ICAC. This next slide gives you an idea of the certification products that we have. Again, we're internationally accredited, and everything that we do kind of grew out of our work in space. I spent 27 years at the Kennedy Space Center as an aerospace technician, as a quality inspector, quality lead, quality manager, quality engineer. I'm a non-destructive testing level 3, but I began my career in the Navy as a structural mechanic. So that provided an opportunity for me to then, leaving the military, to move into the aircraft world, where I obtained my MP license. And I spent a number of years in commercial aviation doing a lot of different things. Worked for 4 different airlines across the country before I found space. And what this has provided is an opportunity for me to examine a lot of different areas as far as what the needs are. But throughout my career, the one thing that I've focused on the most is a demonstration of competence. It was very important in human spaceflight, especially when you think about building a piece of equipment, putting on a rocket ship, shooting at 22,000 miles out into space and hoping that it works right. To do that, you have to make sure that you have built into that system a lot of the engineering controls and the processes that ensure that it's built properly and it'll work when it gets there. This same philosophy we've now moved into different areas on the CertTEC side. Space Tech, we offer certifications for the commercial aerospace industry, the commercial space industry. Our flagship is the Aerospace Core, and Aerospace Core is a certification that is not unlike the A&P General in that it provides a baseline of knowledge and skill, for an individual that moves into that career. A lot of the processes that are involved in the certification for Aerospace Core came out of the FAA's A&P program because we recognized early on that this is the foremost training and certification process that exists today. It's been important in safe travel in aviation for many, many decades. And it just made sense to not reinvent the wheel and to modify what we were doing or model what we were doing in aerospace after that program. The second certification that we have is actually an endorsement, and it's called vehicle processing. And you can think of this as the certification that provides evidence that individuals that receive hardware, integrate it, stack it, and launch it, and then recover it, have the skills necessary to do that. And we also branched another endorsement into composites because composites was a big part of what was going on in commercial space. And then we have manufacturing concentrations within that as well. And these support rocket manufacturing efforts that are going on all across the country. One is Aerospace Manufacturing Essentials, which looks at all of the different programs and processes that are involved in high value manufacturing. Structures and assembly is how you put those together. Manual machining is how you create the individual parts. CNC machining, again, automated machining and different processes. And these are all geared around the materials that are used in commercial space. And also aerospace cutting and welding, a little bit different than traditional cutting and welding. When you think about, cutting with hacksaws and American Welding Society welding processes and MIG, TIG, and the others. These are more involved with things like plasma cutting, EDM, which electrical dimensioning, machining, and also welding processes like orbital arc welding, friction stir welding, and things of that nature. That's really what those support. On the CertTEC side, we took a lot of those concepts. The skill sets, when you think about it, skill sets between somebody that works on a rocket ship, somebody that works on an airplane, or somebody that maintains a robot, they're not significantly different. And this is what we discovered, as we were building these programs. So a lot of what we did on the space side, we were able to then translate into aviation, aerospace, and advanced manufacturing as well. Electronics is a good example of that. Basic electricity and electronics is pretty static. Direct current, alternating current, analog, and digital have not changed significantly over the decades. The basics for those are pretty well set. And our electronic certifications are really used probably more by the military than anywhere else. Those are individual modules. Each individual module is attained separately for that. Basic is a little bit less intensive than advanced. Advanced gets into a lot more troubleshooting and a lot higher levels of electronics. But again, the same four modules: direct, alternating, analog, and digital. We also have avionics programs. I'll talk about those a little bit later. These are practical skills certificates that we've married with the Ncat Aet program. And we also have certifications that are involved in aerostructures. A lot of the work that I did in aviation and aerospace was structures related, and my training in the Navy was structures. So that allowed me then to delve into things like basic structures, which, how do you cut and shape metal? How do you drill holes properly? How do you rivet it together? Advanced structures, a little more intense. How do you make angles and use filler materials and bond and seal and install higher level fasteners such as high locks and things of that nature. So those are really what we support with our structures programs. And then on the composite side, CertTEC Basic Composites is, again, a simple certification that demonstrates an ability of an individual to recognize what composite materials are, how you mix resin, how you apply that resin to fiber materials, how you build vacuum bags, and how you establish vacuum and actually create parts. So applicable not only to aerostructures, but also to the marine environment, to automotive, and to general manufacturing as well. So basic composites covers a lot of different areas. We're also in work now on an advanced composite certification. That should be coming soon. Again, a little more focused on aerospace because it gets into things like use of prepreg materials and hot bonding and things of that nature. And we also have aviation mechanical assembly, kind of more general than structures. Structures focused more on structures repair, where a mechanical assembly is focused more on the general side of the MRO industry, which is a lot of those activities that involve landing gear systems, installing rigging, use of different fasteners, castellated nuts, installing cotter pins and things of that nature. And then the newest one that we've actually focused on recently is Aerospace Coatings Application Specialist. And this is a program that's actually through the Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE. I'm a member of their G8 committee. And the Aerospace Coatings Application Specialist is a 5-step certification process that's recently been released. We just released the entry level and we've begun certifications in that. There's also a recertification available to individuals that previously had Aerospace Coatings Application Specialist credentials. This particular credential has been around for many years. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University offered a class a few years ago. That is no longer there. We now have some private training providers that provide that training. But the 5 steps in this, entry level is number 1, and it's kind of an overview. That then moves on to depainting. The processes involved with stripping materials, then gets into substrate treatment and corrosion control, moves on to applying primer and top coat. And the level 5 is kind of the advanced level. And that's individuals that not only can do all those things, but can also assess issues and correct them. So the last one is really, for those journey level folks that are doing that kind of work. On the Credential Testing Services side, this is our 3rd division, does third-party knowledge-based examination and certification administration. We have several different things that we do within Credential Testing Services. One is we support a lot of school districts now with end-of-course testing because within some states it's mandated that the training that they do can't assess the students. The students have to actually be assessed by an independent third-party agency. And so we do end-of-course testing through our assessment management system, for school districts in different areas around the country. And we also have a product called an Applied Skills Inventory that's a screening tool. And I'll talk a little bit more about that with our partner ATG, Aircraft Technologies Group, but we offer those in aircraft structures, aircraft mechanical, avionics, and composites. And again, these are just quick screening tools that assess an individual's ability to do or what they know. It doesn't really assess what they can do, it just assesses really, do they know about that particular occupation? And companies that are hiring individuals to do specific work, it's become a screening tool that they can use to kind of give them first feel before they offer them their own screening tests, which in most cases are laboratory tests where they actually demonstrate that they can do different things. One of the other features of Credential Testing Services is we do all the Astm Ncat testing through that assessment management system, the Aircraft Electronics Technician AET program and all the endorsements, dependent navigation, autonomous navigation, radio communications, onboard communication and safety systems. All those are done through Credential Testing Services. We also offer the Aviation Aerospace Assembly Certification, the Ncat program for aerospace and aviation manufacturing. This, again, has found a lot of attention now at the high school level because it's attainable. It doesn't require the individual to go through a lot of the training programs that are available today, and actually prepares them to move into things like 147 programs with a little bit higher level of knowledge about what they're going to be getting into. Another program that we've seen get a lot of attention lately is Foreign Object Elimination. The FOE, again, our biggest customers there are the military. The Foreign Object Elimination certification was developed, actually CertTEC in its early days back in the mid-2000s sponsored the original development effort for Ncat and helped bring that certification out. Another one that we do is Unmanned Aircraft Systems, UAS, that supports the unmanned world. That's going through a lot of changes right now. Unmanned Aircraft Systems was originally, drones, but we're seeing, especially working through ASTM's committees, the F-46 committee and others, the eVTOL, the electrical and vertical takeoff and landing capabilities that are now emerging to move people around in big cities where traffic's a problem. Things like Uber Air and others that are developing those processes are now going to be folded into that. We support business aviation flight attendants with the business aviation cabin crew certification. We brought that on 2 years ago. It's seen a lot of attention now, especially within corporate aviation. They fly under different rules than commercial transportation does. And so those people that operate as flight attendants on aircraft, the industry determined that there needed to be a higher level of assessment there because they need to understand connectivity, because those have essentially become flying offices. And so the individuals that were working as flight attendants now have to be able to not only serve the customers, but also when something breaks, something glitches, know what to do to reset it and to get the connectivity back so that those meetings can continue. And then another more recent activity for us has been nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is now embedded in virtually everything that we do. And so we began working with Penn State, developing a nanotechnology health and safety. That one's complete. Nanotechnology characterization certification. And these are available for individuals that work in nanotechnology. There are 3 more that are coming with those as well. So this is just a snapshot of the certifications. You can find out a lot more about these if you go to our website, spacetech.us, and do a search on any of the CertTEC Credential Testing Service, SpaceTech tabs under that overall website. And under resources, you'll find our product catalog. And in the product catalog, it lists all of these certifications and gives a much more in-depth description of what they are and what's required as far as attaining those. I might also mention that we don't certify to training, we certify to standards. So all the certifications that we deliver are driven by industry recognized standards in one form or another. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about our ASTM partnership. ASTM International is an organization that develops standards. It's one of the world's largest international standards organizations. They've been around for a long time, organized in 1898. They do manufacturing materials, products, and processes, and systems and services. So they cover a lot of different areas. They have over 40,000 members now in 140 countries, and they're responsible for development and management of more than 15,000 standards that are used internationally by governments, industries, and institutions. A lot of the work that I did at the Kennedy Space Center was driven by ASTM standards. In aviation, a lot of the manufacturing is driven by ASTM standards. If you look at a pallet of roofing material that somebody's putting on your house, you look at the label, you're going to see that it has an ASTM standard that it's built to. They just cover virtually everything that's involved in products today. So in 2014, Ncat, the National Center for Aerospace Transportation Technologies, which developed all the Ncat programs, was going out of business. And so ASTM assumed that intellectual property from Ncat. And they did that to provide non-regulatory industry recognized personnel certifications for aviation and aerospace technicians. In 2017, we had been in discussions with ASTM on the UAS side about working an update on that program. And through these discussions, it was an opportunity emerged where we could actually administer all the Ncat certifications. So we began that in the first ones were in 2018. It took a while to assimilate and create all these products in our assessment management system. But now we've assumed third-party administration for all the ASTM Ncat exams. Not only that, Carolyn Parise, who's my certification manager, and myself are members of the Astm F46 committee, the Aerospace Personnel Committee. We have also, we sit on a number of the working groups within that F46 committee, the F46 02, 03, 04, 07, which do a lot of different functions within ASTM. And we're there because we do on the assessment side, and we need to know what's occurring within the industry and within those technologies to ensure that that gets built into the assessment process. And additionally, we've over the years produced 14 or 15 different standards that drive all of the certifications that SpaceTech and CertTec have produced. And we've begun transitioning management of these to ASTM because their consensus standards process is very robust, and it's another way to ensure that everything that was been created through our grant is now able to be sustained going forward. We also have taken over another function that ASTM Ncat had done, and that's our approved training provider program. We assess training providers for a couple of different things: curriculum, based on ASTM standards, their testing facilities, their test records management process, the instructor qualifications. Is somebody there certified Ncat, and also assure that they have test proctors that are assigned for that. Initial approval is 2 years, no changes, it moves to 5 years. And you can find the testing locations on the web, on our website. Just click on the CertTEC tab, certifications, about certifications, where would I test, and that will show that. All of the approved training providers are also listed on ASTM's website. Just go to the certifications tab on astm.org and then scan down to Ncat, and then you'll find all the approved training providers. There's probably upwards of 25 or 30 of those training providers listed now, more coming on all the time. It's another marketing tool for getting the word out. And this is just a map that shows the location of where those are. Not all of these dots on this map do the same thing. A lot of them are focused in different areas, but it's a pretty broad swath of the country where those are available. We've also revived Ncat's Certified Instructor Program. This documents instructor education, technical qualifications, and instruction experience. The 3 levels are Certified Instructor, Certified Senior Instructor, and Certified Master Instructor. We review documentation that were provided as far as resumes and transcripts and professional certifications and licenses. And through this process, we assign those levels, and we provide a congratulatory letter, a wallet card, a wall plaque. It's a 3-year cycle. If there's no change, it can be renewed, promoted to the next level, and that application process begins at info@spacetech.org. And I've got the prices on the bottom there for that. $175 initially, $35 for changes and promotions. If somebody wants to move from certified to senior when they achieve, the level of instruction, it's just simply a $35 charge to renew their wallet card and wall plaque. Talking a little bit about our basic electricity electronics, we use the NIDE equipment to drive that. The image that you see here on the screen is our setup for that. That's the workstation. We use circuit cards, and we do this simply because it gives us the ability through our assessment management system and HTML coding to insert faults in the system, so that as an individual is moving through the certification exam, they're presented with faults. They have to do measurements and do different things to demonstrate. They can use digital multimeters, function generators, and an oscilloscope, to do these processes. The military is our biggest customer for these. They have them as validation of advanced technical training, both on the Army side and the Navy side. And so it's quite a busy process. And this is in use pretty extensively by them. Wrong way. Aircraft structures is another certification that we offer. Again, I talked a little bit about that earlier. It's a comprehensive assessment of technician knowledge and skill focused on structures knowledge, fabrication methods, health and safety, inspection, repair, regulations, and documentation. Both basic and advanced levels are offered at select technical training centers around the country. And I might also mention that all of our certifications are covered by military pool for active duty personnel, but they're also covered by the VA, for veterans. So they can be reimbursed for the cost of these certifications. Our basic composites credential, again, focuses on composite history, fiber reinforcements, matrix systems, and the process is related to basic composite fabrication inspection, simple damage assessment, and minor repairs. And again, offered at facilities that we work with that have the capability for doing that. And the last thing I'll talk about is our new AET Practical Skills Certificates. As we look at the ASTM F3245-19 standard, it lays out subject knowledge, task knowledge, and task performance competencies for individuals that do aircraft electronics. Within those, to do task performance, it's difficult to measure somebody's ability to do on a written test. So we've developed these practical skills certificates just as an added value for individuals as they come out of these programs to demonstrate that they can actually do things like crimping and inserting pins, soldering, different activities, building wire harnesses. But not only that, but also measuring and assessing within an avionics system, locating faults, being able to work through a landing gear system, for example, and identify faults within the switches and different things within that system. Also, digital analog conversions, we test those. So a lot of different things that are involved with avionics is covered in those practical skills certificates. And the last one we developed is called the Aircraft Electronics or Aircraft Electrician Electrical Wiring Interconnection System Practical Skills. And on this chart, you can see the tools that are required for that. And also, excuse me, what we do is require the individual build a system. This is an aircraft lighting system. It has a simulated cockpit with switches and circuit breakers, the wiring of bus bar, relays, wire routing is required, building connectors, inserting them, then testing. Excuse me. Got something in my throat. Okay, that's better. So this is something that was developed just to supplement AET, because in a lot of instances, it's what's necessary is to know what they can do, not only what they know. So that's why we've created these. I think I'm about out of time. I don't know if the last thing I want to talk about is Aircraft Technologies Group. And this is a program that we've been involved with for a couple of years. Aircraft Technologies Group is a contract maintenance company out of Canada. They do a lot of work, not only in Canada and the United States, but they also do work overseas. They're placing contract mechanics in Ireland, different areas. But we got involved with the AeroSkills tournaments because this is a wonderful showcase for the aircraft structures craft. And now the basic and advanced structures is offered at their local and regional tournaments, also the final events. As you can see here, these are different areas around the country that these students have been competing. They win cash prizes. It also gives us an opportunity to screen them for employment for ATG and also to provide a certification event for them if certification is something that they desire. It's difficult right now to do that face-to-face, so AeroSkills has come up with a new concept called AeroSkills from Home. And you can visit ATG's website at myatg.aviationnetworks.com to get more information about how they're doing 2020's AeroSkills from home. And with that, I think I've exceeded my time. If anybody has any questions about anything that we do, please feel free to shoot me an email. If you want to set up a Zoom session, we can do that as well. Just shoot me an email and I'll set up a Zoom session and we can chat about how we what we do, how we do it, workforce development efforts, and the apprenticeship programs that we've been building and the different opportunities that we have available within our program.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. And Steve also contributed to our Choose Aerospace scholarship. So he does have an Ncat Aet certification voucher out there that your students can certainly apply for. So thanks for that, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. And that's AET +1, and that's another interesting concept that's just occurred. The Ncat Aet Program has now been approved by the FAA as meeting the training requirements for a repairman's license. And that requires the AET Core +1 endorsement to achieve that. That's through a company, an individual's employer can apply for that. And what that provides is that individual with return to service authorization, which is huge. When you think about the avionics industry, and not only avionics, but all the other people that work in those industries that are not licensed mechanics.
Right. Yeah, a real value add for industry employees that you're trying to get repairman certificates for, and this effectively gives them the training, the training requirement, satisfies the training requirement for that repairman certificate. So thanks, Steve.
All right.
We'll